you want to really stop looking at your resume and completely ignore it for as long as possible because it's not going to get you interviews. I'm not saying that doesn't happen. You can totally do that. Go and apply to 1,000 applications, cold apply for like months. Fine. But don't expect that you're going to start getting interviews.
Welcome to the Junior Jobs Podcast, where we give new software engineers actionable job search advice relevant to today's job market. I'm especially excited for today's industry expert interview, where I talk with Anna Miller, the founder of Second Careers, a consultancy that helps job changers launch their new career in tech. They offer personalized training in their main program, the 12-week career launch, where you learn how to accelerate your job search to land a job in tech. So if you're interested in learning more, Anna is offering our listeners a free introductory call. So just use the link in the show notes to get started. Well, thank you, Anna, for joining us today. Welcome to the show. Happy to have you.
Absolutely. Hi.
So before we get into it, you're actually the first career coach, expert professional in the job search space that we're inviting onto the podcast. So can you kind of give us an introduction into who you are, the services you provide, and kind of the why that drives you in the work that you do?
Absolutely. That's a great question. So, my background has been working in tech for about 10 years, and I realized that I really wanted to create a business for myself instead of working at a company. So, when I started imagining what that could be, I started trying coaching. And I realized that there's a lot of people moving into tech, and I worked in tech. So, why not bridge that gap by creating a program to help support career changers? So, today, I help people from all walks of life move into tech and launch their careers in tech.
Very nice. So you mentioned people transitioning to new careers in tech. So here at the Job Search, Junior Jobs Podcast, we are all about the job search. So I like to understand a little bit more for career transitioners. What are some of the common struggles that you see them encounter, and what are some general advice that you give them to overcome that?
Yeah. So to start with, a lot of people really doubt the experiences that they bring. First, you want to understand your transferable skills from other roles. So if you're a teacher, a construction worker, musician, anything you've done in the past kind of translates into something that you'll be using in terms of communication, teamwork, collaboration, conflict resolution. So you want to start to create that bridge in communicating what you've done in the past and how that's going to be relevant in a professional environment in tech. The second thing is around using the experience you have. So if you want to find a job, you obviously don't want to create reasons not to job search. And the fastest way that someone stops job searching or gets really frustrated and just doesn't know what to do next is by feeling like they don't have any experience. And that is a very common kind of situation many junior software engineers find themselves in, especially after boot camps. The thing is, you have to start treating your projects as experience and talking about them as something you're proud of, and hopefully you are, and really understanding the key points of like what you did, what tech stack you used, why you developed something the way you did. You also want to use the collaboration that you had working in a team, for example, in a boot camp, and translate that into stories during your interview. So first, you want to understand your transferable skills and you want to use your projects as experience.
Great, great. So transferable skills, projects for experience. When you talk to a recruiter, how would you suggest that a somebody coming from a different industry understand what of their transferable skills would be the most relative for the position that they are applying for?
Yeah. So the number one skill and tool in any industry, in any position, and just being a human is actually collaboration and working with other people. So everyone you talk to is just wondering, is this person going to be annoying? Are they going to step up and do their own research before asking me every single question? Are they just going to hold their own? So you want to go into the interview, whether it's a screening or a behavioral call or a technical, kind of being confident in explaining how you showed up in different situations. Let's say you were a teacher, you show up with your students, with the principals, with peers. You basically bridge the gap in what they're asking you and what you have to offer. So basically, if you can, use experiences from your bootcamp projects in order to tell the story of how you handle conflict, how you manage communication. You actually want to go into some details when you talk about, not knowing how to build something or learning a new technology. What do you do? The thing is, a lot of people, especially in development, are faced with new asks all the time. So your job is to show the interviewer that you can hold your own and that you can do your research and that you can learn whatever it is that you need to learn. Because honestly, you're not getting hired for your immense skills and knowledge. That's for engineers that are like staff engineers, principal engineers, 5+ years, senior engineers. So you don't really have to worry about knowing every technology or being on top of AI or machine learning unless that's your interest, right? So you want to really step up in showing that you can communicate, you can be transparent, and you can talk about the things that you do know and very clearly state if you're not fully clear on something that someone's asking you, you ask follow-up questions. That's literally 101 for communication.
Yeah, I feel like in a lot of these interviews or mock interviews that I've done with developers, they try to BS their way through a part of it, or maybe they don't know something and try to pretend that they do. I think just being honest and owning what you don't understand and then kind of detailing through how you would figure it out and being honest in that conversation. I think I think that's a great point that you called out. For collaboration, though, that's an interesting one. Communication. How would you recommend developers approach creating a portfolio project? Or you mentioned their project experience they can put as work experience on their resume. How would you recommend a developer go about trying to get that collaboration experience when they're just working on their own?
So if they didn't do a boot camp, which means they didn't have a team to work with, I would definitely look into volunteer projects where you work with at least other people. Maybe it's not developers, but someone else. You could look into programs like Collab Lab, a couple of others. They're basically nonprofits that help developers connect with other developers and get real world experience in like a time boxed way, maybe like projects that take 2 months or so, like 6 weeks maybe. And basically they do the job of some boot camps if you haven't done a boot camp. So you basically want to start collaborations with other engineers in whatever form that takes, whether it's a program, whether you spend a day, reach out to 100 other engineers and propose working on a project together. Doesn't really
Mhm.
matter who you're working with. The point is getting the experience of working with other people and building something that has stakeholders is really important because as an engineer, you're not like a one man show or one woman show. You are creating a little piece of something that is going to go into a large code base, usually, unless you're at a startup, that's a different environment. But usually you are contributing. So you're an individual contributor. You have to understand that as an individual contributor, teamwork, collaboration, and working with others and helping them understand how they can work with you is very key.
Yeah, this is good advice for, I'm thinking, in the interview when you're talking to the recruiter, how you can highlight that collaboration from your project experience, how you can communicate your non-technical experience, how that might help you be effective in your role. A lot of the developers I talk with right out of their bootcamp struggle with even getting that first interview, though. So, any advice for, I don't know if it's resume or how you approach the job search so that you can be more effective in actually landing that first interview?
Yeah. So basically, you want to really stop looking at your resume and completely ignore it for as long as possible because it's not going to get you interviews. Literally, if you're in your first 1 or 2 years of your career, the chances of you landing an interview and going through an offer are very, very low. I'm not saying that doesn't happen. You can totally do that. Go and apply to 1,000 applications, cold apply for like months. Fine. But don't expect that you're going to start getting interviews. If you get one interview out of 100 cold applications and you're a developer right out of boot camp, that's great, you know? But obviously, that's not very quick. That's quite a long
Hmm.
time to wait. And an interview does not guarantee an offer, it's just a conversation. So, what you want to do is start reaching out to people. You want to remember that, yes, you're moving into a new industry, but this industry is still filled with people. These people work in a different context than you used to. So, they're not teachers anymore, they're developers or designers, product managers, but they're still people. So, who is going to hire you? A person, a group of people. So, contact people. So, contact literally as many developers as you can to start building relationships. Those relationships will start giving you the information you need to understand, okay, are there any tweaks you need on your resume, on your portfolio, on your LinkedIn? Great, make those tweaks. But those tweaks are all part of the process of the job search. They're not like the main drivers. So usually the process is you contact a developer, they look at your LinkedIn profile, you have a conversation, you ask for a referral, you send your resume. So all of the job search materials are supporting. They're like wearing a really nice shirt to an interview. Like, you're not gonna get a job if you have a really nice shirt, but it helps. So, you
Hmm.
definitely want your job search materials to help you, but what's gonna drive your job search progress and momentum is connecting with people and learning information that you can only get from other people in the industry. So I would definitely say to focus 100% on networking and cold apply all you want, but just set your expectations that it may not be the way to get a job in 3 months.
Yeah, I've been interviewing junior developers for months, and I've been mentoring new developers for years. And the common number, this is just anecdotally, is I've sent out over 500 cold applications. Oh, blah blah blah, and then it's at that point they realize they got to do something different.
Hmm.
So how about instead you do something different from the very start and don't waste
Hmm.
all of that time
Hmm.
and you know clog up the pipelines for all these other people that are trying
Exactly.
to get that
Both
job.
sides are having issues. Like, the
Yeah,
hiring managers don't know who's truly interested, and the people applying don't even know they actually want to apply. So, get
yeah,
information from people, ask questions, make it about them, not all about you. I know it feels like it's about you in the beginning, but make it a little bit, 50-50. Ask a lot of really good questions and see where that can take you.
yeah. It's developing the relationships. It's definitely the connections component, and then it's also the getting feedback component. You may
Mhm.
have a resume, or you may think that as a professional with 5, 10 years of experience, you kind of understand how to approach the job market for your old industry. That doesn't
Mhm.
necessarily mean that there's 100% overlap in how you approach the job market for this new
Mhm.
industry you're trying to get into. So just
Mhm.
getting frequent feedback is going to be crucial there. When you reach out to these, you mentioned software developers specifically at these companies. Is there a type of a template or how you approach that conversation that you found to be more effective?
Yeah, I mean, I teach that. So that's basically what I do with anyone who joins my program. I work with them to use templates and customize them as needed. The templates are a baseline, and then you basically find different approaches that work best for you. But it's a mix of quantity and quality combined. So you want to know where you want to target your outreach. Like, it's not like any company anywhere. The worst thing you can do is say, oh, I'll work anywhere. So, I believe in energetics. And when you say that, the universe is like, great, here's a shitty company, or here's a really good company, or here's a company that will fire you in 2 weeks. Like, you don't really know what's really going to happen. Like, anything can come down the pipe. And if you say, I'll do anything, I'll work anywhere, like, you're probably not going to find the best opportunities because you're not looking for them. So you want to prime yourself to know where you're going to network with who, how are you going to have the conversations, and then how are you going to vet the conversations. So I work with people to help them understand how you approach the conversation, how do you carry the conversation, how do you get the right information.
Yeah, so walk me through that then. If it's this program of yours sounds really interesting. Let's say I am a new developer. I am maybe 2 months out from graduating from a boot camp. I have previous experience in the restaurant industry. How would I go about, I guess specifically, where would I go to look to find roles that I'm interested in? And how would I find the right people to talk to that would be more receptive to my outreach?
Yeah, absolutely. So I know I've been talking about reaching out to new people a lot, but you actually don't want to forget that your current network could be very helpful. And a lot of people really early in their career don't utilize their current network very well. I, was interviewing a developer once, and she said that she found out that her boyfriend's sister worked at a startup and she was like head of operations. So it was a very small startup. So they decided to take her on because they knew that she was a good person and that she was motivated and she learned very quickly. So she basically was tasked with learning a completely new tech stack and starting a project with them from scratch. So, you know, that's a great connection. But before she was transitioning into development, like she didn't know what her partner or sister did, because like why would she, right, dig into
Mhm,
that?
mhm,
So there's another client that worked with me that basically had a connection with someone from something they were doing, and they chatted with them, left it at that for a couple months, reconnected back with them. And it turns out that the person they wanted to hire wasn't available. So she was able to get that role and is now working at the startup, like helping to build this new product. So there are people around you that you never know are available to help you or know others, but you got to ask, and they got to know what's going on with you and what are you looking for. So don't forget to utilize your first connections as well. But basically, to your question on how this program works, basically, you start sending out connection requests. So this is important because you don't want to do in-mails because you can't follow up with in-mails. And also, LinkedIn limits how many you send. So basically, you send connection requests using an intro note. The note is basically short hello that you say when you send a connection request. And this is important because early in your career, your LinkedIn profile isn't like that advanced with experience. However, you can put your projects on there and start like making it more personable. Once you do that, sending a connection request, let's say they accept and they say like, "Oh, great to connect. What do you want to know?" Then it's up to you to lead the conversation. So the first thing is reaching out to people at companies that are actively hiring. The second is carrying the conversation and asking good questions when you're actually interacting with them. So some people are like, "Oh, I got a response and I don't know what else to say." And I'm like, "Well, it's your job search. So they're not there to tell you like what to do. So you have to look at things that are literally in front of you, like their profile, the job description, the company website, and ask questions and basically lead the conversation in order to see if it's a role that's actually a fit. Not every
mhm.
role, even if it looks like it, is a fit. And if it is, you ask for a referral, you ask for a connection call, you ask for like information about the career journey. You basically lead the conversation in order to help you understand where that fits for you.
Yeah, the
And you
o
just do that over and over.
yeah, I think that's 100%. The only thing I would add to that is this takes time. It takes time to build relationships, it takes time to have these conversations, and sometimes you may send out a connection request, and it may take days, weeks before somebody gets back to you in between each message. So,
Yeah.
I would say if you're still in your boot camp or even at the start of your boot camp, start these conversations now because it can take months
Yeah.
for any of this to turn into a job
Yes.
opportunity. This is the most successful way for junior developers, but it does take a little bit of time and effort.
Yes. Especially in this particular market, a lot of programs that were set up to take on junior developers got cut or are paused. So there's actually a little more challenges that, the junior developer market is facing because there's no like direct pathway that the boot camps used to have.
Mhm.
There are still some programs like JP Morgan Chase and American Express and some big finance firms and consulting firms have some pipelines, but like it's really up to you to create a path because most of the pipelines are like very limited in terms of numbers they accept.
Yeah. It's a combination of those companies pulling back from hiring entry level talent. And then also, there's just been a growth. The pandemic, so many jobs were cut. There's a growth in online ordering, kind of e commerce developers started to go into that industry. And then now there's just more junior developers in the field to begin with.
Yeah,
So it's
exactly.
both
So
sides of the equation.
it's really important to take charge and not sit back and think, oh, when is something going to fall into my lap?
Which maybe you could have done a few years ago, but definitely not in today's
Yeah, a few
market.
years ago, perhaps. But now you want to be more proactive
Yeah,
because you're going to get
absolutely.
really sad if you don't.
Absolutely. So then help me understand then. So before we wrap up, this has been a great conversation. Kind of if our listeners were interested in more about your program, kind of help us understand what you do, how can they contact you, and what's next steps you'd recommend.
Yeah, for sure. So I provide both, one-on-one coaching with the program. It includes an online course. I also provide free resources. So whichever, a space you fall into, you can reach out on LinkedIn and ask me whatever it is that you have on your minds. If you do want to work together, you can review the program on createnewpaths.com. And it basically explains like the step-by-step process. It has investment details. It has like a link to book a call. So you could basically review that and let me know if you find that relevant for you. But basically, if you follow me on LinkedIn, I share basically everything that we're talking about here in very minute details. So lots of resources all around.
Thank you so much for everything that you do for the industry, for new developers. And thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me today. I really appreciate the conversation. And thank you to everybody that's listening as well. It's all the time we have for today. So we will see you all next time. Thanks for tuning in to the Junior Jobs Podcast. We hope you found today's interview helpful as you navigate your own job search in tech. If you enjoyed the show, please remember to like and subscribe as that helps us reach more developers in need. And don't forget to check the show notes for details on today's sponsor and other job search services that we provide. Thanks for listening and have a great day.